Hello and welcome to episode 22 of Shulkercraft. And as you can see behind me and from that opening time lapse, I've been doing a ton of mining. Well, it's off camera, but it's really been on camera because I've been doing it on streams. You can go over to twitch.tv to follow me and you can hang out with me while I'm doing these streams. And I'm trying to set up a bunch of cool stuff to make viewer interaction a little bit more fun. But all that I really have left of my main clearing out goal is to clear this area all the way back to this wall here. And then after that, what I want to do is I want to try to make the walls look a little bit more natural, kind of like these walls over here. But we're also going to be replacing the netherrack in the roof and the walls with other textures. So I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to actually clear out all this netherrack on the ceiling because I can't reach it without jumping. So I'm going to have to figure something out for that. And the reason that I haven't finished this yet is because I'm actually running out of some of the materials that I need to build the floor. And it's most of the materials that are hard for me to gather, like this warped Nylium right here. I need to figure out how I'm going to get a lot more warped Nylium in a short amount of time. And when looking around online, you don't really see any warped Nylium farms. At least with the 10 minutes of research that I did, I didn't find any. So I have an idea of what might work for a warped Nylium farm. And I'm going to struggle through the redstone on my own, try to figure it out here in survival, and to bring you guys along for the ride. So let's go ahead and get started on this warped Nylium farm. So what I would normally do to harvest up some warped Nylium is come to a warped forest and just mine it out of the ground here like this. And yes, this works great, but I kind of want to see if I can create a more automatic solution for that. And in order to do that, we're going to use probably the most valuable resource in the game, bone meal. And whenever a warped Nylium block is next to a netherrack block, you're able to bone meal that netherrack and turn it into warped Nylium. And it works the same when it is adjacent from a warped netherrack block. So I want to see if I can use this and pistons and dispensers, because I believe here, let me just double check. Okay, I have a dispenser going into this netherrack. Let's put some bone meal in, and if I press the button, yes, you can bone meal this netherrack from a dispenser. So I want to use the dispensers, the pistons, and bone meal to see if I can make a farm to collect all of this. And I think that farm is going to look a little bit something like this. Okay, so the idea behind this farm is we're going to have this as a smart piston, and we're going to put netherrack down against the warped Nylium, and this piston's going to automatically push out the netherrack in front of this dispenser. And then it's going to take a pulse from the smart piston to power the dispenser, and then every time we put down a netherrack, it'll push the netherrack in front of the dispenser, and then the dispenser will get powered. Here, let's build up the smart dispenser so I can show you how it works. So we need a block here. We need some blocks here and like this. So now we need to put a redstone torch below the sticky piston, and you want redstone dust along all of the wool blocks. And this block isn't necessary. This block's just here to connect it to the dispenser, but let's see how this is working. So we put the netherrack down and it pushes it out and it changes it into warped Nylium. That's perfect. We can keep doing that, and then what I want to do is have the same idea, so once it reaches the end over here, it will push out the blocks in this direction until it can't push the blocks out any farther. Then we can just come back here with our Silk Touch pickaxe and mine up all of the new warped Nylium blocks. So I'm going to see if I can get something like this set up on this side, connected to all these pistons to push all of the rest of the blocks out. And here's what that looks like. So this redstone torch is going to send a pulse along this redstone line once a block reaches here, and it's going to power all the pistons. Now if I grab a stack of netherrack, I can show you it in action. So yes, we've got bone meal in here. So we can't go too fast while placing the netherrack, or else it can get locked. Here, I'll show you it getting locked. So yeah, it'll get locked like this just after it pushes out, and you don't want that. That'll also make it grow a bunch of roots on top of everything. But if you keep putting the netherrack down at a good pace, you can get your full stack down in no time, and then you can just use your pickaxe to mine it all right back up and get started on your next stack. I decided to use obsidian for the floors so that when I'm breaking everything down, I don't accidentally break it. And you can easily also take this and swap it out for some crimson nylium, and it works just as well with crimson nylium as well. And I also added a chest at the back to keep an excess of bone meal supply for the dispenser. And that's how simple this farm is. It's not the most automatic farm in Minecraft, but it gets the job done. So now I went off and collected up all of my netherrack and brought it over here. I'm going to see how long it takes me to turn this all into warp nylium. So after about 20 minutes of using this farm, I ended up with one shulker box full of warp nylium. So it takes 20 minutes to fill a shulker box, but I did run out of bone meal, so I'm not able to finish off the rest of the netherrack in my collection, but that's okay. I've just been making too many farms lately that are really reliant on bone meal. Like we've got this one here, and the bamboo farm, and the nether tree farm. They all use a ton of bone meal, and I just can't keep up. I do have a little bit of a backlog over here, but I've reserved all of this specifically for this farm. And now I think I need to head over to the skeleton grinder and maybe spend a little bit more time so that resource gathering in the future is a little bit easier. Actually, I'm going to deal with the skeleton grinder in between episodes. Let's quickly take stock. So I've delivered this over here, so we have a ton more warp nylium. We could use a little bit more of the nether tree wood. We need more cyan concrete. And the rest of our supplies are in good supply. So I'm going to go and collect up those things, and then maybe we could continue working on this area and maybe start looking at flattening it out. I've also captured a few piglins in between clips. And our resources have been gathered. Now it's time for a time lapse. And a couple of live streams later, we have this area behind me all cleared out. And on those live streams, I had some time to listen to all the records that I got in the last episode, and we decided which record disc I thought was the best, and that was Ward. I like it because it reminds me of Legend of Zelda. That's the honest truth. And if we take a quick look around here, you can see that this is just now a massive area. Here, look, you can just fly around it. You even need more than one rocket to get all the way across it. It is massive. And let's see how much I have mined. Oh, only 416,000 netherrack. I thought it would be a little bit more than that by the time I got to this point. I still do have some areas where I have to figure out what I'm going to do. For example, this is the way that I'm getting down into the nether right now. So I need to think of another way because I'm about to cover this up when I extend this floor through here. But what I really need to think about is what I'm going to do with the walls of the Spirit World Nether Hub. Because I haven't really figured out what block palette I want to go for the walls yet. I know I want to make it look more organic like this so it's not just a boring flat wall. But the netherrack definitely has to go. So I went away to my creative test world and I did some testing and I found a block palette that I like for the wall. We're going to go with a black stone and black concrete, really just dark colors for the walls and probably also in the roof. So I'm going to get some of these blocks placed and we can try to see if we can get a feel of how it's actually going to look. Hey guys, what do you think? I think it's really coming together. So as per usual, I'm building up my wall with a gradient with the black stone at the bottom and the darker blocks like the concrete near the top. And I'm really happy with how it's coming out so far. I've only done a little bit of it and I still need to do a lot of work to get this wall in place, but it's really coming along. And for spawn proofing, I'm gonna have to come over and put pressure plates on top of all of the exposed blocks to stop any ghasts or skeletons from spawning, because this is a soul sand valley over here. I don't want any ghasts in my nether hub. A problem that I'm running into, however, is that a lot of the blocks in this block palette are really hard for me to get. Blackstone, obsidian, black concrete and black concrete powder are all actually really hard blocks for me to collect right now. So we're gonna have to put some farms into place to help us collect these blocks. Luckily, there's one farm that we can make that will give us 3 different types of those blocks. We're going to make a piglin bartering farm, where we're going to use these guys and to collect all the drops that they give us now that we have easy access to gold from our gold farm. Now let's have a look at the drops that they give us. Block-wise, we're going to get blackstone, crying obsidian, and obsidian, 3 of the blocks that we're using on the wall. We're also going to get gravel, which we're actually going to be able to use when making our black concrete and our black concrete powder. So this is going to be the perfect farm for setting up this wall. And there's also a bunch of other byproducts that are useful as well, like quartz, ender pearls, and nether bricks and string. So for this piglin bartering farm, we're going to go out and collect a bunch of piglins and put them into a redstone farm that keeps feeding them gold and collects all of the drops that they give us. And this is the basic redstone of this piglin bartering farm. So how it's going to work is we're going to have a dispenser up here with some gold in it, and it's coming over here to a timing device, and I chose to use a redstone hopper clock so that whenever the items drain from one hopper to the next, it'll push the redstone block back and forth, powering and depowering this line. And as you can see here, the dropper is going to drop out a piece of gold and it's going to go to the piglin and he's going to drop it and it's going to be collected in the hopper below. Perfect. So now we've just got to expand out this design so it can hold more piglins and put up some walls to hide the redstone. So I captured all of the piglins for the system and I rewired the redstone a little bit just to make it a little bit more compact. Now what I need to think about is how I'm going to fill up all the droppers with gold. So I have some hoppers along the top there, and I need to feed a hopper line across with maybe a dropper elevator bringing all of the gold up to the hopper line. And this is what that looks like here. You can see the hopper line coming across the top with the dropper elevator bringing everything up. And if we deposit our gold into this chest, you can see it getting sent up into the system. Now that we're successfully feeding our piglins gold, we need to figure out how we're going to take the items out. And I don't want the hoppers running this way anymore because I've got the gold dropper elevator on that side, so I'm going to spin them around and send the items in this direction. And then I think I'm going to create a bunker underneath the floor here to do all the item sorting. And the piglin bartering farm is working. We're starting to collect up all the blocks that we need to build up the wall for our Nether Hub. And I'm actually thinking of using these blocks as well down here as a good transition to kind of show what you're getting into when you come down into this storage bunker. So I'm going to let this farm run for a little bit and we'll see how much black stone, crying obsidian, and obsidian that we can collect. And the storage system is complete. I have all of the automated storage here, and all the extra items come into these chests here. I also have the iron nuggets coming into here because I have an iron farm, so I don't really collect them that much, and this is more likely to get disposed of into this disposal dropper. So now I just need to put in some glass and some lava to help get rid of those items quicker. Don't forget to check out the description below to see the armor stand mod where you're able to make your item frames invisible like this. The armor stand mod's also useful for all sorts of other things. But anyways, this is where I want to end today's episode. We got a ton of work done on our Spirit World Nether Hub today. We got a piglin bartering farm in place. And if you can remember way back to the start of the episode, we got a warp Nylium farm in place. We're starting to get to the point where our Nether Hub's looking like it's almost complete. We just need to get the walls and the roof in place of the main Nether Hub, and then we need to start thinking about nether tunnels. Anyways, this is where I'm going to end things. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, consider leaving a like and consider subscribing. Water Tribe, out.